there, my name's Jill Tiny. I'm from Collaboration Global, and this is our podcast, Being Human, Hidden Depths. I'm going to be interviewing some of our members from Collaboration Global, and they're going to be sharing with you their extraordinary lives. Although they would probably believe they're just normal, everyday, average humans, but they are extraordinary. A bit like you and me. We all have our story to tell. We've all been through difficult times, and we've come out the other end having learnt an extraordinary amount about ourselves that we can share with others. So I think you'll find lots of things that will resonate with where you've been in your journey as well. I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Hello and welcome to the Collaboration Global podcast, Being Human, Hidden Depths. My name is Jill Tiny, the founder of Collaboration Global, and I'm delighted today to welcome one of our glorious members, Mrs. Enthusiasm. She's amazing. Dr. Lizzy Bernthal. Welcome, Lizzy. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, excited to be here. Thank you.
You're very welcome. First and foremost, what I ask most people, just to kind of set the ball rolling, is how did you find out about Collaboration Global, and what was it that made you go, I think I need to be part of this community?
Yes. Well, I met you on a LinkedIn pod. So we were on a LinkedIn pod together, commenting on each other's posts, and I just was so excited and inspired by your posts about Collaboration Global, and then I went to a meeting and I was hooked. I never thought I could meet a tribe like I've met through Collaboration Global. It was so exciting, and I thought, well, it was just a no-brainer. I just had to join.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah. I like that. When people say it's a no-brainer, I'm like, I think so. Everybody should think so.
Yeah, I mean, the people that you've attracted are extraordinary. It's just the most extraordinary group of human beings.
Yeah, and what I love is that all of them come to the, as you have done so amazingly, is how can I help? That's the kind of bottom line is, I'm here, I'm on my mission, but my mission is to help as many people as possible. So how can I help you guys? And then bit by bit, we all can work out all the collaborations that are possible or not possible. We can look at how we can support each other, how we teach each other, how we share things. It just feels like a great space. And when you're around people that are upping their game, it kind of makes you do the same for yourself as well. Yeah, brilliant. Fantastic. Now, while I'm fascinated with the fact that you joined, it was like this is new, because you were not the first person with a military background, but you are the only one at the moment. Well, no, actually, a few people in the community have experienced being in the military. But I first cottoned on to what you were saying about it when you talk about having to get on the plane to Afghanistan and you're leaving your husband and your daughter. How old was she at the time? 10 behind. And that just, my heart just felt for you. The agony that must have been for you to go through. And yet you write so eloquently about it, and how you've kind of looked back at that time and understood that actually it was a real big part of your understanding of who you were as a woman, who you were as on a mission, and what your purpose is for now. So let's put a pin in that. We'll come back to that. Let's start at the very beginning. I recently found out that you are 8th generation military family. So could you just paint the picture for us? What was Lizzy like as an 8-year-old? What was Lizzy like? Yeah. Did you want to be a space person? Did you want to drive a train? Did you want to be a, footballer? Or what was your ambition when you were 8 years of age to go, when I grow up, I'm going to be
a nurse? I think I always wanted to be, help others. I think my mother was a nurse. So I think I was very much brought up with that sort of helping others. And also looking back on it, my mother suffered quite a lot with mental health, but I didn't realise it at the time. I thought all mothers went to bed for the afternoon. And so I kind of did quite a lot looking back on it, looking after her really. And so I think that probably set up my need to help others, I suppose. And so yes, I always thought about being a nurse. I never wanted to be an astronaut or anything kind of like, go to the moon. It was just, that's what I thought I wanted to do, really.
it probably felt comfortable that, you know, you knew what to expect because your mum had sort of laid the pathway for you. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, how we don't often deviate from the path that we're, you know, how many doctors have got sons that grow up to be doctors, how many accountants have got sons or daughters that grow up to be accountants, or that kind of thing, you know. It's like, is it historical, is it hereditary, is it genetic? I mean, that's the age-old question, isn't it, of how it all happens. So you saw being a nurse first.
I think so. I think what was interesting, my mother was always a nickname in the village. She was the village nurse. I mean, she wasn't the village nurse at all, but you know, she would always be the one that we'd be called if Johnny hurt his ankle or somebody wasn't feeling very well. You know, she sort of almost like ran her own clinic where she'd just pop in her car and go and see them and check everything was okay. Yeah. So I suppose I love that idea that you were contributing. Even I was sort of brought up on that idea of contribution. And then my father left the army when I was 7, but I was always brought up with, I suppose it sounds, looking back on it, a bit negative, but sacrifice, because it was you know, he was one of 4 brothers, and 2 of his brothers were killed fighting, killed in action. And so but that was just what happened, you know, it was just one of those things that happens. And so it was always Poppy Day was really important. I could never understand as a child, why do you want to go to church and you know, celebrate people that have died, because that's all a bit sad. And I didn't get it as a child how fundamentally important Poppy Day is, which for me now, obviously having served myself, is really important. So so I suppose I was brought up in that environment where it was very much, you know, give of your best no matter what, even if you kill yourself in the process, which I'm now unpicking now, realising that's not always the best way to live when you've got your own business particularly.
Well, looking back at that age then, that era, we weren't aware of good mental health. We weren't aware of PTSD and all the things that, and you can understand people, you hear the stories about people that served in the First World War and Second World War never spoke about it. And there we would be encouraged to kind of unpack it and, you know, go work through it so you can get rid of some of the horrors that were there. So do you think your dad ever suffered ill health because of what he went through or seeing his brothers go through?
He did, but it came out in different ways. I think he was always classic, push it down, push it down, push it down. You've got, just get on with it. But actually, looking back on it with the knowledge I have now, he had asthma, he had really bad skin, he had psoriasis. So it was just, that was the way that it was coming out in his body, which obviously in those days, there was no thought of, this is in the 70s, there was no kind of connection really with mind and body and expressing your symptoms of something going on in your head.
Yes. Yeah.
So
you've come so far.
Yeah. So that was, I think that was amazing lesson to have. However, I am learning now that actually working harder and harder and harder is not always the way ahead. But it's been my sort of generations of that philosophy. So it's been really liberating unpicking that, but it's taken a while.
Yeah. What was your first sort of realization that this isn't really the best way to be? You know, sort of roll your sleeves up, head down, get on with it. You know, cope.
Good question. I suppose it's just been an evolving thing, really. And it's only probably in the last, probably since I left the army, where I've now got my own business, where I've acknowledged that there needs to be another way of being.
What a difference, eh? I can't imagine being in the army, life or death situations, caring for a huge amount of people, and then business, solopreneur, and then kind of being responsible for everything. But, you know, if you don't send an email, no one's going to die. It's not the end of the world. How does that feel? What's that like? What can you look back and go, oh, it's easier in the army? Or do you look back now and go, how did I do that? How did I go in the army?
Yeah, it's a bit of both, actually. I think, you know, in some respects, you know, I think, it was easy. I mean, in the fact that it was totally structured. You know, there was order in every even to the extent of how, your full stops when you wrote a service paper, you had to write in a certain way. You had to sort of how many two spaces at the beginning of a sentence. I mean, literally to that extent.
Gosh.
So really ordered. Yes, it was challenging, very challenging at times. You run your own business, and I'm getting used to the messiness. The messiness of the creativity. It is messy. It's not ordered, and that's the gold. So it's that whole shift of mindset, and of course, doing, as you say, I am my own boss. I have my conversation. My meetings are with myself.
And you're so annoying, isn't it? In your head, you're like, oh, I need to get this sorted, and you can't. It's talking about the creativity. That's what I took a long time to when I first started in business for myself. So I was partnered up with my husband in the first business, but the second business was just me. And what I desperately wanted was, what's the right way to do this? Tell me the right way and I'll do it. And I didn't want it to be messy. I wanted to have this pathway, and you do this, you do this, and you do this, and success, ta-da! And that's what a lot of people are peddling out there, aren't they, at the moment? And I guess from being in the army, there was a right way to do stuff and a wrong way to do stuff. And again, it's this kind of background of life or death situation. If one little drop of wrong becomes a lot of wrong, becomes somebody is going to suffer because if you've done something wrong. So the intention and the pressure is a different. But if you do something wrong in your business, it really isn't. It's a nuisance sometimes, but there is no right or wrong, because the way you do it can be successful. You just got to hit on what is successful for you, and what is successful for you isn't necessarily going to be successful for the next person. Oh, I did this amazing marketing campaign. You do it this way and you get this many new clients. Really, that's what frustrates me about a lot of the stuff out there at the moment. Business is not cookie cutter. And it's hard to be brave enough to step in and be confident to go, no, for my business, this is how I want to play the game. And it is a game, and it is understanding that these are my options, and I'm going to choose that one, that one, that one, and that one, and this is how I'm going to do it. And there will always be people going, what are you doing that for? I wouldn't do that. Well, good luck to them. You do it a different way. This is the way that I'm doing it. And we have to experiment on ourselves, and we have to find ways that are going to work for us. So it took you, from all the things that I've read about you and learnt from you, it took you a while to step into that space of, this is me, this is who I am, this is what I do. Was that an epiphany moment? Did you have to walk over coals and find your soul, or did it kind of just drip, 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 drip? I
think it was just like, I always think of it as a bit like a Russian doll. We've got our true, authentic self in the middle of that Russian doll, and then we have all those layers that the bigger Russian doll on top. And so, rather than, it isn't. Obviously, people talk about the onion as well. So it's just like kind of unshedding the doll bit by bit to find out who I really was, and then it was, whoa, yes, I'm here. And it's been a very interesting journey, because I think, obviously, as you said about the process, not only was there a military process, obviously when you're in health, there's a health process as well. So it's sort of a double whammy. And so it's been accepting, certainly sort of owning who I am, which has taken me a while. And I think because when you're in part of a big organisation, you are a little part within that big organisation. And sometimes it's quite easy to, while you have your identity, you can lose some of yourself in the process, because you're so part of that organisation, that machine. So that was really interesting and so liberating. I found it so liberating, just suddenly, finding out who I am.
So you tell a story many, many times about that kind of pivotal moment when you're like, no, this is not good enough. This isn't working for me anymore, and I'm not going to put up with it. I think often we could all relate to that. It's like that moment, like, I don't think so. And you might have been, I'm talking from myself here, you might have been subservient and supportive and kind and caring and blah, blah, and then they go and they're like, what are you? No, that is no way. Stop it now. And I remember, tell us your story about that moment for you when it's like, I'm not having this.
Yes. So what happened was I did have a boss, which I did find quite challenging. And he was notoriously quite challenging. So and I was absolutely that person. I wanted to help, I wanted to support people, I wanted to be a great leader, passionate about, you know, supporting my team and all that kind of stuff. So I was very nice, should we say. And one day, this has sort of been building up for a while. And actually, this is the power of coaching. I had some coaching to deal with it, because at that point I was thinking, this is all me. I'm not good enough. If I was better, this wouldn't be happening to me. And I didn't even notice what was going on around me, really. It was just because I felt, oh, I feel rubbish if I was better and all that stuff. So, and then I sort of started noticing a bit more what was happening. And it was just one event where I'd been doing a research project, and I'd been working for probably a few weeks, if not a few months, on this project, because I had such a passion about it to make a difference. And my boss, unbeknown to me, had sort of just created something that was very similar.
Yeah.
And just when our boss's boss was on leave, he decided to just put it out there, and it was not great.
No.
And so
there's no logic to it, is there? It's almost like, why would you do that on any conscious level? He's not doing it for the sake of the people around him. He's doing it from the outside looking in. Obviously, we don't have his side of the conversation, but he's doing it to undermine you.
So there were two reasons that I was really, because number one, how dare he undermine me? Secondly, it was because, you know, this was a reputational risk for our department, and I'd spent 2 years creating a really great reputation, which was wiped out in one email. I mean, we rectified it again, so that was okay afterwards.
Yeah.
So I suppose that is when I wasn't really even aware of values at that point, but it was my sense of justice and doing what is right just got absolutely triggered. And we had a meeting, and actually I was really angry before the meeting, and I don't normally get angry. I'm not normally an angry person. And I said to others at the meeting, I'm just to warn you, I'm going to say something at this meeting. And they said, yes, great, needs to be said. You know, thank you, we're on your side, we'll back you up.
That's nice.
You know, somebody's rising up to this. So I stood up, said my piece powerfully, strongly. It was almost like all the shackles had fallen off. I was standing tall and owning my power.
Brilliant.
And what was hardly surprising, everybody else just then kind of cowered and just looked down and just felt very awkward about it.
It's not like Hollywood style where they'll stand up and give you a standing ovation.
Absolutely not. It was just, there was that awkward silence of
tumbleweed going across. Horrible.
And then, but I didn't care, because I knew that I was doing the right thing. And then after the meeting, they kept, oh, thank you so much for saying that. You know, it was almost, they were too scared to say anything, because, you know, whose side you're on, you know, which camp were you in? But that was a defining moment for me. And it was at that moment I said, right, never, ever will anybody undermine me like that again. And my mission is now to make sure that no one ever is undermined. And so at that point, I hadn't realised that it wasn't me, it was him. And as soon as I stood tall, I realised it's just like water over a mosaic. I thought, oh my God, it's happening there, it's happening there, it's happening here, it's happening here. This is wrong. Yeah. So, you know, these are all great, authentic, powerful leaders that have in their confidence knocked because of the environment they're in.
Absolutely. And
it's
almost like, you know, when someone's done something to your kid, you know, you become braver than brave, and you're going to get that sorted because that's outrageous and that's not going to happen. But in the workplace, we kind of cower and we worry about our jobs, you know, whether we're safe if we say something out of place. And as you say, it's this intimidation and being undermined. You kind of people go, oh no, I won't rock the boat, and oh no, it's not that bad really, and I know he's done it 4 or 5 times, or she has done it, and you make excuses in your head to not take any action. And I think there comes, as you say, there comes that line, and they cross that line, and you're like, enough is enough.
Yeah.
So now, as a result of that, not a direct result, but this was part of your journey, you set up the business, having come out of the army, having had that wealth experience, having been a nurse and a midwife, which is amazing in itself. I just love that. Bringing new life into the world, and then now you're taking responsibility for the grown-ups kind of thing, by helping people to not be in that position that you were in, that position where you'd been such a nice person that allowed you to be walked all over. And you can still be a nice person. Nice isn't a rude word. You can still be a nice person, but you don't have to put up with all the rubbish that goes with it. So when was the revelation for you? It's like, I need to help other people do this.
Yeah. Well, to start with, I take full responsibility, for the fact that would happen to me. I was a bit of a wet blanket in that respect. So I take full responsibility. You have to ask for it, even though you're not actually physically asking for it, but your energy and all that kind of stuff. So that's one thing, taking responsibility for that. I think at that moment when I decided, right, I want to help as many people as I can to stand tall and own who they are, I thought, how can I do that? And so I'd had some coaching myself, saw the power of coaching, which has given me the confidence to just stand up and stand tall. And so I thought, right, that's what I want to do. I want to be a coach. And I think looking back on it, actually, I've been coaching all my career really, but didn't really understand. So even as a student nurse, I'd been mentoring and supporting the first year students when I was a third year student. And then that carried on. And then I moved into academia and became a lecturer. And so I was always teaching. And then when I was doing my research, I realized that my qualities research interviews were actually, I was having lots of coaching calls. So it just sort of all fitted that's what I wanted to do. And having been in uniform since the age of 3, even at nursery, I was in uniform.
Oh, I love it.
I decided enough's enough. So then I thought, right, time to spread my wings and set up my own business and do what I love. And yeah, I feel so blessed.
Were there any people surprised by that?
Interesting question, actually. I suppose I just said that's what I was doing. And it was, I suppose I had such conviction about what I was going to do that nobody actually questioned it. I mean, that's a bit different. Yeah.
No, I was just thinking that the Lizzy of like 20 years ago, this nice person that was allowing people to walk all over her, if you'd said, I'm setting up my own business, I would imagine a lot of people around you would have gone, really? Are you sure? Well,
I didn't, if I'm really honest, I didn't even intend to set up my own business because what had happened was, before I left the army, I'd been asked to work for consultancy to do all my resilience training and my workshops and my coaching. So I thought, yeah, job done, marvellous. They'll give me all the work and I'll just do what I love, and marvellous.
Yeah.
And it was only when obviously Brexit hit and then obviously COVID that suddenly all that work disappeared, and it was like, oh, right, yes, best start building my own business now then, because I'm not having other people's business to be part of. So yes, so that's been a really fascinating and exciting journey that I wasn't expecting.
But the fact that nobody kind of questioned you on it when you set up your business, which is called
Release Your Potential.
Release Your Potential, perfect title. Shows, for me, it demonstrates that they see you as this standing tall person who's in their own power, who is able to empower other people. So where you've seen yourself in the past as this person that's kind of like, oh, thank you very much, yes, I'll do that for you. No, don't worry, I'll do that. It's fine, I'll get that done. This kind of too pleasing, too nice person has now, not just emotionally, but also physically, is now a different person. So when you set up a business, there wasn't anybody around to say what you're doing that for, because they're like, oh no, that's a really good idea. Yeah, I can see that. That's fine, because you were owning it. You were owning your own power and taking it on board. And I love the mission that you have to help people not be in that same boardroom and take up that same hassle that you had to take that one incident. I know there's many other incidences, and we can all think of those times when people have tried to walk all over us, and we've kind of let them.
But I think on the other hand, you see, during my military career, I was, in fact, looking back, wasn't really authentic, because I was really fighting the corner for so many people, whether it was nurses, whether it was patients, whether it was, globally helping nurses with their empowerment and doing my research and giving military families a voice and all sorts of things. And so doing really changing boundaries, because no nurses had done a PhD before. So I had a sort of like almost like a double life in the army. So when I was being free and able to do out of the office, and I was creating all this stuff outside, conferences and workshops and all that, and breaking new ground and showing a different way of being. And then it was just when I was back in the office, I was that little child. So I suppose all I've done is I've just built on that empowered bit of me when I was out and about, and got rid of that tiny child in me that was there back in the office.
Yeah, that is really interesting, isn't it? That there is, all of us have these people inside that's, this, as you say, a dichotomy of the two variations. And a lot of people call it like imposter syndrome. So you've got somebody, this little voice sitting on your shoulder going, really, should you be doing this? Because actually you're not very good at it. Somebody's going to find out soon and you'll be asked to leave.
Absolutely, that was the case. Absolutely, that was the case. But actually, it was because certain environments I was in. Certain environments were so empowering, and I was given the freedom to just change things and just show a different way that we could do things. And then in other environments, it was like, stay small, shut up, push yourself down.
So if somebody was in a toxic work environment now, what would you be your initial advice to them to?
Well, we'd have a conversation and find out what's really going on, and really unpick the stuff that's going on in their heads. Because often what it is that the individual, and I was that person, wasn't even aware that they're in a toxic environment. They think it's them.
Oh yeah.
So once you start, and this is what's been so incredible with the clients I've had, is once you start having those conversations and they start acknowledging, this is not me, that's them. And then they suddenly find their own voice and they stand tall. And it's just like with the ripple in the pond, and then they just soar. It's just the most amazing experience to be able to support them in that journey.
Yeah. So I get that you're taking like 20-30 years of your lifetime experience and gifting that to these people, so they don't have to go through the journey that you've had to go through, and they can see like it's laid bare, that they can go, oh, so that's what's happening. But even if it is somebody, so I went into a relationship with a client who I thought to myself, I don't like him very much, but it's a good deal that I'm getting here, and I know I can help his staff. And ultimately, what happened is that it was a toxic relationship. It wasn't very good, but I knew that kind of going into it, and I thought I was clever enough to control it. But I'd always given myself, well, if I have to leave, I have to leave. And it was supposed to be for, I think, a 12-month contract or something. And after 6 months, I was like, no, because I thought I've done as much as I can for the staff, and I've done my promise, but he won't let me go any further. And if I stay there, it's going to affect me emotionally and mentally. So I came away. But it's interesting how the old me, the people pleaser me, still got sucked in because I wanted to help.
So easy. Yeah, so easy. Yeah.
Easily done. Okay, so apart from helping people to stand tall, to find their confidence, to empower them, which is huge and wonderful, what's your other passions in life? What do you love doing? What kick free, and what happens?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think I'm just finding my creativity, actually. which has been amazing. So as you know, I'm just started to write again, and I love writing, so I'm writing again. And yeah, I think the same was a lot of us in lockdown. I kind of found baking that I'd never really done, and I found gardening that I'd never really done. And it was just so, yeah, all of which is part of creativity. I used to be very much like, I haven't got time to be creative, I've got a job to do, you know. And now I realize it's absolutely fundamental for our well-being to have some creativity. That doesn't have to be building something or creating something massive. It can be, you know, even just writing posts for LinkedIn is creative, you know. It's doing it whatever is right for you or for that individual. I think that's one thing I've always loved exercise. I've always been passionate about fitness and well-being and that kind of thing generally. So I don't even see that. I just see that as so part of who I am now that I don't really see it as what I do, if that makes sense.
Like brushing your teeth is just part and parcel of it.
Yeah.
So when you have clients, do you kind of work with them holistically? So it's the whole package to help them and support them?
I can do. I do help individuals if they wanted to have a nutrition program from my health background. So I can do that. But generally now it's much more focused on the mindset and resilience.
Yeah. But it's like you get that set and you're off then.
Yes. So it's plucking out the weeds in your garden. You know, we can't get the flowers to grow if they're struggled by weeds. So it's just plucking out all those weeds, and then it's just so amazing how then you flourish.
Yeah, and over time, more weeds spring up. But it's like you say, the Russian doll, you know, another weed springs up. There's another layer to peel back, and then you go, I didn't realise that was. And
it's ongoing every day. And I think that's the thing now, is once you start embracing this, and I have breakthroughs and breakdowns all the time, as you well know, but I think it's just so liberating. It's just, you know, I now just embrace it and think, let's just get this out the way. So now, whereas probably for years and years and years I'd be holding on to stuff, now it's like, right, got 20 minutes, sort it, done, out. Excellent. Or even that, sometimes it's just literally just awareness. Oh, what do I do with that? Right, okay, how do I deal with this? And it's almost like, you know, bring it on, because that's the only way. That's the way to do it, and that's the only way we can support our clients, because we can only support our clients to the extent of our own breakthroughs. So the more breakthroughs I have, the more I can give them away and support clients more powerfully. Yeah,
for sure. It's we don't know what we don't know.
Exactly.
And when you start out, so I remember going to a personal development program years and years and years ago, going, well, I'm fine, there's nothing wrong with me, it's all them others, they're the problem. And then you start kind of unpacking things, and it's like, I do that, don't I? To realise that,
responsibility. You know, we can so easily be, and I totally admit, you know, for many years of my life, I was a victim. I'm 100% victim. I wasn't taking responsibility. And you know, we all know how you do anything is how you do everything. And now I notice, even if it's from emptying the dishwasher to run your business, it's like, right, I need to take a bit more responsibility there.
Yeah, and it's just spotting those things before they occur sometimes, and you can just see them on the horizon, and you go, also, the other thing I discovered the other day, that a lot of people have done personal development and gone, I'm done that, I'm sorted, it's fine. And yet there's always something. I had an epiphany at a Collaboration Global session once, when someone was talking at the front of the room, and they put up a picture of themselves as a child, which could have been me. It was so almost identical, but it was of this fat child, sort of quite chunky, and she said, my mum had to make all clothes for me because I was too big to fit into other things. Now,
that was me.
Yeah, and that was me as well.
Really? Wow.
My mum was a seamstress, so it was lovely. But I thought, well, my sister wasn't fat. Yeah. My dad wasn't fat. My mum wasn't fat. Why was I the only one that was going through this?
I see.
And the reason she had that was she'd been suffering from sexual abuse for a long time, so it was comfort eating. And I'm sitting there going, well, that's not me. I've not been abused in that way. That's ridiculous. That's not me. Anyway, you mull it over because you know there's this little chink of something that's happened here, and it's like this. It hit me so hard, this photo my mum has to make clothes for me because I was overweight. And I'm like, whoa, so why? And all of a sudden, why? And because I'd had personal development in the past, this just kind of built onto the other things. And I knew that I had a door to open and to walk through. And it worked out that there was something that had happened in my past that I had totally buried. Totally buried. And then once I acknowledged it and saw it for what it was, it's like, oh, I've been bullied for so many years and I didn't even know. I thought that's what was normal because I thought everybody had that. And not everybody has that. So it's like this journey of personal development, even if you think you're done, you're never.
We grow every day, and that's weird because I had exactly the same experience last year. You know, I didn't realise I'd been sexually abused as a child.
Oh, wow.
Not by my parents, I like to add, but you know, and it was all a bit of a joke, and it was like I suddenly acknowledged that actually, no, that wasn't a joke. So no wonder I was a really fat child. I mean, it's like water over a mosaic, isn't it? You just suddenly all these things together. And the most extraordinary thing is the moment I kind of acknowledged that and I dealt with it and I had some coaching about it and all that kind of stuff. The next time a client came to me, had the same experience, which I would have completely missed had I not had that experience myself.
Yeah.
So
we don't have to empathise. We don't have to empathise with everything that our clients have gone through. We don't have to have experienced it. But because we are continually, opening turning the next page to see about ourselves, it then creates that opportunity for you to turn that page for your client as well.
Yeah, amazing. So it's such a gift, and I think we will be doing this till the day we die. I mean, you're either growing or you're dying, so we may as well be growing.
Absolutely, that is. I don't know where that phrase comes from, but it is so true. There's no standing still. It's the same in business. Your business is growing, or you're going backwards. You're not standing still. You can't stand still. And in today's day and age, when everything is so fast, everything is at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and the technology that we have to absorb and take on board. If you're not caring for yourself and your wholeness, that's your health and your nutrition and your mind and your emotions and your spirituality, if you're not supporting those things, then you are slowly sliding backwards, and that's when the cracks begin to show. It's interesting that so many people that you talk to and you think they haven't had that experience, and then it turns out that they have.
Well, here we are now. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, it's really strange. One of the things that you said to me just before we came on is that a lot of people learn about themselves through heartache. Now, you've told me of the trauma of being in that toxic work environment and dealing with that, and that's more a mental thing. But an emotional thing as well is that you did IVF for 6 years.
Yes.
How did you keep your head in the right space for getting that done?
Again, I think it's looking back on our purpose. We just really felt destiny was to be a parent. And it was really interesting now, knowing where I am now with my business and my vision and passion and purpose and all that kind of stuff. It is all to do with seeing a bigger, seeing that vision of what it's going to be like. And I mean, I think I've always been determined to succeed until it is just, I've never known a situation where it's not possible. Sometimes it's just so much is to do with mindset and determination. And yes, we are so blessed, and we still thank every day how blessed we are that we have our daughter. Yeah. So, But I think, and also at the time, you don't think it's 6 years. I think it's like anything in life. You sort of have one go and it doesn't work. And think, okay, well, give it another go. And then you suddenly think, oh my goodness, that was 6 years. It's just that you're hurdle by hurdle by hurdle by hurdle. Rather than if somebody said, oh, it's 6 years, we thought, whoa, oh no, well, okay. So most things, when you're in it, you're just going through day by day, a bit of that, like classic, that hamster wheel. You're on that hamster wheel. If somebody said you were going to be on that hamster wheel for X amount of time, you would probably think, oh, maybe I'll get off now. But
did you have those conversations around, shall we have a plan B, darling? or did you just go, we're going to keep doing this until it works?
No, I was 40 when we had our daughter, and we always said 40 would be a cut-off point, because I didn't feel it was fair on any child to have two old parents. And even so, she's got quite old parents. But anyway,
you don't look over 35.
Yeah. So that was sort of, we thought we have to have some cut-off point.
Yeah.
And we were very blessed because we were both serving at the time, so we had good salaries coming in. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to do it because we had to fund it all ourselves. So that was the other issue, is that, you know, we were lucky that we could do that. And so each time we sort of planned, we sort of vaguely gave us an end point. Yeah.
Yeah. So you, as you say, it's a strategy, isn't it? It's the kind of military background again. It's like, well, you do this and you do this and you do this, and it's focus. I think having that focus and that determination, and
also because we're both religious, we also knew, while we felt we were destined to be parents, we also felt, well, if it's not in the plan, we just have nice holidays. So we're very sort of accepting of destiny, really.
Yeah.
If it was meant to be, it was going to happen. If it wasn't meant to be, it won't happen. But at least we've given it all we can to make sure it does happen.
Yeah. Have you come across, I think I've been banging on about this book quite a bit, but there's a book called The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. And that is a really lovely space, because he's had a remarkable life, but he's done it through surrender. And obviously he meditates a lot. He gets very connected to his spirituality, and he surrenders with what is. And this is what is. And it really is a lesson for us all that, if the universe is, if God wants this to happen, God, I'm here for you. Use me as your tool. I'm going to surrender and let it be what will be. And then things just start moving into place quite often. Because if you've been given this feeling, this emotion, this kind of feel, the fact that we're destined to be parents, then there's a reason that you're not just, doesn't just come out of thin air. You're not flicking through a magazine going, oh, look, little baby, that would be a good idea. Should we do that, darling? There's so much more to it than that. So once you kind of got that feeling, that's been planted there by something. And I think by surrendering, it's like, it's not in our will, it's in your will. And if you're willing it to be, then we'll let you do it in your time.
Yeah.
But whatever you're surrendering to in life, surrender by standing tall and not surrender by being meek and mild.
Yeah, exactly.
And knowing who you are. I have to mention before we go that we are in the process of getting is it your first book? I mean, you've done your PhD and everything, but your first book, which working title, you've heard it here first, folks, is called Standing Tall. And it is going to be sharing Lizzy's wonderful experiences throughout life. We just touched on a tiny ice cube of the iceberg of information and stories that she's got. But this book is sharing her experiences, but also providing tools of how you can utilize it for your own life. What do you think, Lizzy? What's a quick synopsis of your book that you think, why would people pick it up to buy it when we finish writing it, of course?
Yes, of course. I think it's just short circuit, the stuff that, we've gone through, and acknowledging that we all have that stuff that we need to go through. But however, I think my biggest message is we are all awesome. We've got everything within us. There's nothing broken. Nothing needs to be fixed. We have it all within us. And sometimes it just takes circumstances or situations or conversations to bring that out. And sometimes we have to go through some tough times to find the courage that we didn't even know really, or the resilience that we didn't even realise we had within us. But it's all there. It's there for the taking.
Yeah, fantastic. I can't wait for you to get that finished. And we can get it on the bookshelf. It's going to be amazing. I'm just sitting here thinking about all the experiences that you've had in your life. You've probably thrown more life at your experiences than most people. By the time you just said, from the emotional perspective, there's been sexual abuse, there's been struggles with fertility, There's been emotional wrangles in your work life. So many other things. And you know what? This life, this is what a lot of people have experienced. And some people go, no, I've never experienced that at all. Well, God bless you if that's the case. But everyone has got their cross to bear, and everyone's had their journey. But it doesn't mean that journey so far is your future going forward.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what's the future for Lizzy, Dr. Lizzy? What's your big, fat, audacious, oh, I really love to do that?
Yeah, I think it's just, I want to get rid of toxic leadership in the world. I mean, and I want to help every single leader I come across, every single person I come across, acknowledge they've got everything within them to stand tall, to own who they are, and they've got it all already. So that's my aim, and that all that self-doubt is just a conversation going on in our heads. It's just a story we're making up. It's not reality. So acknowledge the stories that you're making up, because they're just a story.
And imagine the world full of empowered, kind, caring, future thinking, just people that are able to stand tall. That phrase comes back again and again. People that are able to stand tall and be the best that they can be, for the benefit of other people as well. So they're not just doing it for like, yeah, I'm amazing, but they're doing it to kind of help others and make our world a better place, which brings us right back full circle to Collaboration Global, because my philosophy is around, well, you surround yourself with some awesome people and you're awesome yourself and you're all standing tall. What could you do if you collaborate and go bigger and take it around the world? So that's what we're after. We want to see you be as successful as you possibly can, because you have a mission, and your mission, as you say, is to help as many people as possible to stand tall. And that's wonderful, because I think we can all understand, we've all been in that position where somebody's tried to walk all over us, and some of us have let that happen, and others of us have retaliated, but maybe in a way that's been damaging or detrimental. I mean, that's the other side of the coin, isn't it, when you go too far the other way?
Yeah.
What else do I need to ask you? Oh yeah, midwife, we haven't even touched on that. How did you, I mean, obviously you were a nurse, so where did midwifery come into it?
I've always loved children, and when I was doing my nurse training, I spent some time in the maternity unit, and what I loved about midwives is that you have that autonomy. So it's almost like medicine for normal deliveries, shall we say. And so I love that, and I love my midwifery, and what a greater privilege to bring another person into the world. I mean, it was just such a privilege. So yes, and then sadly, when I was in the army, I joined the army as a midwife, and then a lot of the hospitals closed, so all the midwifery went to the NHS, or when we were abroad, it went to the local. So I couldn't work as a midwife anymore. So that was really sad. But the great thing about that was that gave me another avenue, and I moved up the management chain, and then I moved into research and sort of hopefully made a difference in a different way. So
that's interesting. So when you were a midwife, were you a midwife to the people in the forces, or to
so military families?
So military family, as opposed to to the whole family. So
I worked abroad in UK and abroad before I joined the army, and then when I was in the army, so it was all military families or serving or whatever, and deployment, that they produce quite prolifically after deployments, so we used to be quite busy.
Hadn't even thought about that. That's a whole other consideration, isn't it? Yeah.
So whereas mostly it's like a big boom in September after Christmas, but in the military it's after deployment. It's 9 months after deployment.
Brilliant. Yeah. What a job, eh? Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a colourful life. No wonder you're writing a book. Honestly, there's so much to pack in there. I can see it being a whole volume, 6 or 7 books there to fit it all in. Listen, Lizzy, it's been amazing sharing with you some of your stories and your insights into toxic relationships and how to overcome them. I can't wait for this book to come out. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute joy. If somebody wanted to come along and find out more about what you do, whether it be for you to coach them one-on-one, or if they want to be part of a coaching group that you do, tell us what you do and how to get hold of you.
Yes. So I coach people one-to-one individually. I do group coaching programs. I also do workshops as well. I always do a free workshop once a month, and that can be found out on Eventbrite. So go onto Eventbrite and just put my name in. And then actually, if you follow, then you'll be informed of all my events. And then my website is rypotential.co.uk. And I'm active on LinkedIn. So that's always the easiest way to contact me on LinkedIn.
And if you're looking, you spell it Lizzie.
No, Y.
Sorry, big pardon. I have a friend who's IE. I get you two muddled up. And Bernthal,
Bernthal. So LIZZY BERNTHAL.
with a doctor at the front, obviously, because you've got the old PhD. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much. And of course, if you want to come along to a Collaboration Global session, we also have them as a free session on the last Tuesday of the month, and you can meet Lizzy there and have a conversation because she's always there. You can find us by going to collaborationglobal.org and book in on the website, or again, go to Eventbrite and search for Collaboration Global, and you can book into any of our sessions there as well. If you want to have a chat with Lizzy, she's also one of our regulars on Clubhouse currently on a Friday morning, be changing in July, but just look for the club, Collaboration Global, and you'll find out all the dates and events that we have there as well. We look forward to seeing you soon, and thank you again, Lizzy, and I'll see you in a few days' time.